you have to think about the shelf life of like posting on social media. If you get
30
sick and you stop
seconds.
yeah, if you get sick and you stop posting on Facebook, you stop posting on Twitter, you stop posting on YouTube. YouTube's a little less so, but your blog content, if it's good, like well positioned, it's evergreen, it's going to be ranking for quite a while and it'll continue to bring you traffic. Whereas your Facebook post might not do that.
If I was a business owner right now and just starting my journey in it, I would be focusing very much on initial productivity gains, like what tools can I implement that aren't going to massively disrupt my workforce or, mean I have to completely
Hmm.
slash my headcount, but just improve the productivity with employee buy-in and really kind of start there.
I find that a lot of companies actually struggle to adopt AI for one reason. They don't necessarily know what to do. They don't
Yeah.
perform an audit within their actual business to say, like, these are the areas in which AI can provide an enhancement in. But also, AI isn't a replacement for strategy. The easiest place to start with AI is going to be
Hi, and welcome to the 91 Day AI Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Mast, and I'm really excited today because we've actually got two guests, a two for the price of one. Wow, how cool is that? We've got Jeff and Ben from BrandWell, and I'm really excited to chat with them. I've got to know their company a little bit over the last few months and really impressed with what they're doing and excited to have a conversation about AI and business and all the things related to that with two gentlemen that are obviously deep in the thick of it. So without me wasting time introducing you guys, who wants to go first? Tell us a little bit about yourselves and BrandWell, just to kind of get us started, and then we'll dive into some stories and stuff from there. Who wants to go first?
I'll go ahead and go first. So my name is Jeff Joyce. I ran agencies in the past, and my last agency was actually called Crush It Content, where we actually would work with entrepreneurs and we would create video content. But that quickly transitioned into me getting into AI after seeing the advent of like uh, content at scale at the time, which was
Hmm.
the company previous to BrandWell, that was our old brand name. I saw the way that that actually created content, and I was like, I might be in trouble here if I continue down this path. I think that eventually script writing as well as just video production is going to get disrupted. And we've already
Oh,
seen like
yeah.
things like Sora and stuff like that. And so that quickly transitioned into me wanting to get into the AI space. And luckily, I met Justin McGill, the founder of BrandWell, and I was able to hop on the team. And it's been just crazy since then.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Ben, anything you want to add to that at all?
Yeah, so I'm Ben Harper. I'm Chief Revenue Officer here at BrandWell, and same journey in many ways. Like I used to run agencies, I used to run technology companies, and then when I exited my last company, that was kind of as AI was starting to come into kind of popular consciousness, really. And I was like, I need to get involved in this somehow,
Oh,
and
I
found
love it.
Justin, found BrandWell, and yeah, excited to be part of the future.
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate you guys sharing a little bit about your background and how you got in there. I guess, I'd like to unpack those stories just a little bit for our audience, and our audience is mainly, business owners and entrepreneurs and that. But tell us a little bit about, at the time, I know it was content at scale. I know you guys recently went through some rebranding, and I want to chat about that in a minute. But before we do, tell me just a little bit about what caused you to choose BrandWell. Why that? You guys both have an agency background. You could have done a lot of different things. What caused you to decide to go in the direction and become part of this amazing team?
It was the growth story for me. So the
Okay.
first time I spoke to Justin, it was literally through Facebook. We met in like a Facebook SaaS growth hacks kind of group, and he was looking for someone to help him on the growth side of the business. But the stats he was sharing were, I was like, I don't believe this guy. Then I started chatting to him, and it's like, okay, it's real. The growth that they experienced in the first 3-4 months of the company from launching was incredible. So I was like, this is a rocket ship. I want to get involved in this in particular, and it being content, it being targeted at agencies in many ways as well, like really just fit
Hmm.
with what I've done in the past and what I'm passionate about.
No, makes sense. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I was actually doing a roundup. So I knew that I wanted to get into AI, and so I was doing a roundup I was doing a Facebook live stream actually, and I was reviewing all the different tools, and I was just saying like, well, first off, ChatGPT wasn't out then, so I didn't have that to go off of. But everything that I was seeing, I played around with Jarvis, which is now Jasper. I played around with all
Yeah.
these different
Yep.
tools, and I was just noticing that the output just wasn't very good. And I was like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to disrupt me. But then Justin reached out to me and was like, hey, try content at scale. And I took a look at the homepage first, and our first homepage was just awful. It was like a very generic template from
It's like a rite
WordPress.
of passage, isn't it? In our world, you've got to know digital marketing. You've got to totally bomb when you start.
Yeah, you have to. You absolutely just get it out there and then improve over time, in which we've improved the website tremendously. We have a fantastic UI designer now. But the output was what really sold me. It was like, oh, this is different from everything else. And later I learned that the reason why it's different is because it's not just a layer on top of ChatGPT. It's actually, there's so much other technology that goes into it, and which combining with LLMs, that was what really sold me on it. It's like there is more tech here than what is just available just by using ChatGPT. And that was the main thing that was just like it hooked me in. I was like, this is what AI can do, and it's just gonna get better from here.
I love that. So, for those that don't know, Brandwell is largely a content generation platform. Can you guys give us, for the novice that hasn't tried content at scale or isn't familiar with Brandwell, can you give us that elevator pitch on what is it and why does a business need that?
Yeah, so BrandWell is the most premium long form writing tool there is on the market. So we write effectively blog content that is ranking really well in Google. So it comes across completely human like. And the way it works differently to pretty much any other AI platform is that when you prompt it and ask it what you want to create, it'll go and search Google, see what's ranking for that content, and it'll understand how to create content that's going to rank really well for that keyword. So it makes a massive
Mm.
difference to brands' traffic beyond just writing content. There's a load of other things that go into it. So we fully ingest your website, understand what's going on, and internally link and all those sorts of things. But at the root of it, the main difference is that we are the one AI platform that's all about creating content that ranks really well in Google.
I love how you focus on going out and searching other articles that are doing well. You're focused on the ranking, but the other thing you mentioned that I'm not aware of any other tools that do. I'm not saying they don't, but the ones I'm familiar with is that internal linking. So, am I understanding correct then that Brandwell actually goes out and essentially indexes the website so that as it's creating new content, it's creating all those link relationships as well? Did I understand that
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing BrandWell does when you sign up is it goes through your whole website and understands all of your content. It also gives it a score. So one thing that people do at the start of using us quite frequently is they'll refresh or rewrite a lot of poorly performing old content as well, because it'll tell you where to improve, and that can give you really quick wins as well. So yeah, but it understands everything about your site.
I was gonna say, I think I need to raise my hand on that because I think, like everybody else in the space, is my site's the last one that gets worked on. In fact, just the other day, I got a notification. I think I actually went to my website, which of course I don't do every day. I know I should, but I didn't. And I remember we had made a pivot from when we started about a year ago in some of the messaging we were doing, and it was still in that whatever text. And I'm not a web designer; I'm a marketing visionary guy, but the text that comes up when you pull up your website has your business name, and then it has like your tagline. I'm like, oh, that's from a year ago. Oh, and that never got changed. And it's like, it's been out there for an entire year. How many people thought I was an idiot? So I'm sure, probably like me, most people, when they start coming on board, like you said, Ben, they find a need to probably revamp. Does Brandwell help with that? I mean, when we're just talking web page content and that, will it help in those aspects as well?
It does. So our main tool is around the blog content, but
Sure.
we do also have a suite of tools that are called Brightwell, that are all around writing other types of content. So creating your landing
Okay.
pages, any other copy, social media content, anything you want to do, and that's more of a agentic type approach where you have specific agents that Jeff mainly creates, to be honest, around creating the best landing page copy, and you can use it in there to create copy for your site, but it won't score it in the same way that the blog content does. That's kind of the focus on that
That
side.
makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So one of the questions that begs in my mind, and I just finished a 3-day challenge on this, is we all know that content marketing can really help establish credibility for an organization, for brands, and all that. And I know a lot of people are concerned about using AI to do that because it just doesn't sound like them. And I know you guys have taken a number of steps in there. But before we go in talking about the AI aspects of it, I'd love to get your guys' perspective on why creating that written content is so important. Why can't a business just rely on, doing a bunch of videos or rely on just posting social media? I know I've got my thoughts and I'll be happy to share them, but I'd love to hear yours. Why is that blog content in particular so important for a business and their brand?
Yeah, I think it's actually more important now than ever. I think that what we're seeing right now is we're seeing a lot of AIs ingest content that's mainly coming from blogs, and that's showing up in search results inside of actual
Hmm.
LLMs. We just had GPT come out, which is serving you content. And it's important to not just have all your eggs in one basket. I think that Google is
Absolutely.
definitely one platform that I don't see is going to go away anytime soon. Even with LLMs, now presenting you with search data and search topics, it doesn't really matter because Google is still going to be the juggernaut in the room for the next 20 years, in my opinion. I don't think it's going anywhere. That's why it's important to me, at least.
Well, I definitely agree. I think that's important, and it's an important part of the discussion. I think, to me, there's so many ways for your customers or your potential customers to find you. And yes, some may find you on social media, but let's face it, when they're finding you on social media, it's not likely because they're searching for you. It's more likely because they're looking at pictures of their friends and their family and their kids and all that type of stuff. And then, oh, they happen to see a post that comes up from you that Facebook's algorithm, which I don't think any of us fully understand, decides to put in their way for them versus a search, whether that's on ChatGPT, on Perplexity, on Google, wherever that is. When your audience is out there searching for you and finding you, now the intent to convert is so much higher. And so as a business, I think it's to me, that's why that content is so important. Admittedly, I probably get a lot more social media hits than I get on my blog posts, but I know it's my blog posts that often convert into those appointments with people that I want to talk to and other aspects of what I'm doing as a business. Are you guys seeing the same thing with your clients and out in the industry? Are you seeing similar trends, or is that unique from what I'm seeing?
No, I think that's pretty universal, actually. And another thing is too is you have to think about the shelf life of like posting on social media. If you get
30
sick and you
seconds?
yeah, if you get sick and you stop posting on Facebook, you stop posting on Twitter, you stop posting on YouTube. YouTube's a little less so, but your blog content, if it's good, like well positioned, it's evergreen, it's going to be ranking for quite a while and it'll continue to bring you traffic. Whereas your Facebook post might not do that. YouTube will be a little bit longer as long as it's an evergreen topic, but I think that your blog content will last a lot longer.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I think that's I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad it's not just me. Obviously, I talk to a lot of people, but you guys talk to a lot more, so it's good to hear that. From an overall perspective, since you guys are deep in it with AI and all that, what are your thoughts on businesses continuing to bring AI into their operations? And apart from even just from BrandWell and all that, where do you guys see that the opportunities exist for businesses as they're looking at AI to start leveraging it to bring value to both their business but also to their teams? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we believe, and I'm sure you do, that obviously the potential is absolutely huge right now. It feels like even now, as it's going slightly more mainstream, we're still in a bit of a bubble. Like people
Yeah.
outside of technology and outside of our kind of industries still aren't fully aware of the possibilities yet. And obviously, the possibilities are changing almost daily as well in terms of all the stuff coming out. But I think it's yeah, if I was a business owner right now and just starting my journey in it, I would be focusing very much on like initial productivity gains, like what tools can I implement that aren't going to massively disrupt my workforce or mean I have to completely
Hmm.
slash my headcount, but just improve the productivity with employee buy-in and really kind of start there. That's kind of the first step of the journey, and then go from there and develop it further. Like yeah, some people, like as we mentioned earlier, completely jump in and fail. Some people are completely terrified of it. But I think taking that first step is the hardest one and the most important one. So picking something that they can get their team on board with to kind of start that culture change is kind of where I would go.
Mm, makes sense. I think, that business owners, they often hear, because us marketing folk, we get so excited about AI because it's such an easy fit. But outside of that, in operations and other areas, I think AI still makes a lot of sense, whether that be, again, creating an SOP or whether that may be just, helping craft an email. How many times have we sat there and said, oh, I need to respond to this, but I need to think about how to say it because what I want to say I shouldn't say, or at least I need to say in a better way. Maybe I need some, boundaries or whatever in there. Where do you, outside of marketing, what types of opportunities do you see for AI within some of these organizations? Any thoughts on that at all?
Yeah, it is to be very specific to the company. I find that a lot of companies actually struggle to adopt AI for one reason: they don't necessarily know what to do. They don't
Yeah.
perform an audit within their actual business to say like these are the areas in which AI can provide an enhancement in, but also AI isn't a replacement for strategy.
Thank you.
So you still need to have an understanding of where strategically AI can be placed to become that lever that really advances you. I actually had a conversation with Brian Dean about that, and that was actually one of his quotes. That was AI isn't a substitute for strategy, and I think that you need to know a lot about your business and where you're actually not seeing enough improvement to where you can substitute that with or improve that with AI. And one of my main talking points that I've all it's basically all I talk about nowadays is that the easiest place to start with AI is going to be the things that bring you traffic, that bring you leads, and bring you conversions. Those are
Mm.
the three things. So TLC. So you need to provide a little TLC to your business and get that traffic, get those leads, and get those conversions. Outside of that, things that are operationally time consuming, such as SOPs, it's a very good use case. But also, in your personal life, your personal development, taking YouTube content and then in having the transcript ingested in something like ChatGPT or even one of our agents can provide you with educational material that you can then use to then learn at your own pace. And that's another aspect of AI that can just be used to enhance your team. So if you're leading with that approach of like, let's look for deficiencies and how we can improve them, anything that you set your mind to can be done with AI in that aspect.
Mm. No, I think that makes total sense. Well, let's talk about some future advancements. Before we hopped on the call, you guys were sharing that there's some really exciting things that are coming down. That I'm guessing you're using AI to help with some announcements that, as of the time this airs, I think will have been released. Talk to me a little bit about some of those new changes that are happening with. I don't want to say BrandWell, but with the company, I know it's going to be a new brand and that's coming out. Talk to me a little bit about some of those changes and what that means for people kind of from a practical perspective. Who wants to dive in
Yeah.
and share that fun stuff?
Yeah, I'll go for it. So this is still part of BrandWell. So you're right on the branding. It's still part of BrandWell, but it's a new suite within BrandWell called Traffic ID. And this is powered through a lot of data, a lot of matching, but yeah, AI is helping us behind the scenes, obviously, in everything that we do. What Traffic ID does is that for anyone with a website, you can put a little bit of script on the site in the head. And what it'll do is identify the actual person on the website, not the company, not just ICP match, but like actually like, hey, Jonathan Masters on your site. He's on this page. He's been on there this long. He's scrolled this far. Here's where he's based. Here's what company he works for. Here's his LinkedIn. Here's his email. So really powerful data that you can really use. So for salespeople, for marketers, like enriching campaigns, creating ad targeting sets, or just email outreach, like the potentials are massive for what you can do with that kind of data. And everyone's obviously fascinated by their analytics data and the numbers and the traffic they're getting. Like on LinkedIn, everyone loves that who's just viewed your profile kind of feature. And this is bringing that to your website effectively, like who's viewing your website right now in terms of actual people. So that has just rolled out. By the time this goes out, this will have just rolled out. People can do a free trial of it for 7 days and get unlimited leads, unlimited people through the site. Um, and yeah, we're really excited about it because we think it's really a game changer in the marketing world, or for anyone with a website, really, because not only does it let you reach out to these people and obviously make more money from them, but for anything you're doing, you're running a podcast, you're running ads, whatever it is, you can then like attribute the value of that much better because you can see not just the numbers of people that it drives to your website, but the quality of the lead and like who is that, what kind of companies are landing there, and what kind of job titles, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we're really excited about it.
Well, it sounds really cool. And I've been, as a marketer, I'm familiar with services out there that would tell me, for example, that somebody based on a corporate IP that
Yeah,
okay, I know somebody from Disney was on your website. And it's
yeah,
like, okay, big whoop. I mean,
yeah.
who knows where or whatever. We've ran some of those in the past. And I know it seemed like every university and college in the nation, we would get
Mhm.
people all the time. And it's like, are they looking? And you could see, okay, well, they're looking at your jobs page, or maybe they'd be looking at your portfolio. But it gave you no information that allowed you to have any clue who within that organization might be doing it. Am I understanding you right, Ben, when you say that this is going to, in many cases, actually be able to narrow down and figure out who that individual likely is that's visiting as well? Because that to me
Exactly.
is something
Yeah.
unheard of.
We will only give you it if it's the actual person and we have an actual contact for that person. So,
Wow.
so we've done the same. We've used company data before, and unless you've got a huge sales team sitting ringing everyone at that company, then it's pretty useless, right? So this is the next evolution of that, and it'll give you the actual person. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. How does AI fit into that? And I'm not asking you to obviously give away brand secrets, but what's happening and where, because I know you guys use AI, for, like you mentioned, for almost everything. Where does AI fit into that from your workflow or from the workflow that your customer ends up using based on that data? Any insights there?
Yeah, both sides. It's obviously baked into our workflows behind the scenes to make that work and make that data happen. I think where it's going to be more transparent for people is what you then do with that data. So you can, and this is kind of the next iteration of it later on, is that like Jeff mentioned that TLC side. So
Hmm.
we drive you the traffic through the content, we bring you the leads through traffic ID. At the minute, the conversion part is kind of what people have to do themselves, but that's where we'd recommend they use a lot more AI in terms of whether that's our agents to create great email copy or whether that's putting it through another workflow or another tool to then go and outreach those people automatically. That's kind of the main area where AI is going to come into this, I think, and that is probably something we'll end up building out. But right now, that's an area where people can really experiment with tools and create new things to really use that data that we're going to give them in a unique way to programmatically and automatically make them more sales.
Hmm.
Very, very cool. I love that. I'm excited about that, and excited, admittedly, as we're recording this, it's not yet available. So I am really excited to be trying that out. And I know as this goes live, it should have just been released. So where do people go? Do we know yet? Do we know what that URL is where they should go to learn more about that?
Yeah, if you go to brandwell.ai, and then there'll be a tab at the top that'll say traffic ID. Click that, or from the homepage, you'll be able to get there as well. And you'll be able to sign up for the 7-day trial, completely free, unlimited
Very
leads, and
cool.
get started from there.
Very cool. I love it. That's awesome. Love how you guys are bringing all these aspects together. Obviously, we're going to create the content. Content marketing's huge. Now we can track the people that it's interacting with, so we can follow up. And of course, do one of my favorite things is write email drip campaigns with AI to follow up with them. Because man, I've always loved email drip, but warm market stuff was great, but it was so hard to sit and arduously write all those emails. And I just did one this morning, and it's amazing. And what used to take me an entire day, and therefore often didn't get done, a lot of times now I can do in 30 to 40 minutes, and probably better written than if I'd done it myself up front. Anyway, of course, we've trained it and all that, all the things that you guys are familiar with. But yeah, man, I love AI for that. So
Can
one of
I?
the things that go
Oh,
ahead,
sorry. Can I? I'm actually gonna. I want to paint a picture for you a little bit, if you don't
please go ahead,
mind.
Jeff.
So with traffic ID, we also have details of what pages they visit on your site. That can also include things like blog posts. So if you know that a user is viewing a certain type of content from you, you can then personalize drip campaigns to that specific person based off of whatever it is that they're searching for. And so when you have that type of
Wow.
data, you can have these agents that then come into play and can create that content for you that's specific to that person. It's a whole another level of personalization just based off this data, and you can understand things like their behaviors. So if they're going through your site and you know that like statistically a certain percentage of people based off the filtering that we do are hitting certain pages and then converting, you can then optimize for that, so you can then improve that flow on your website. So there's a lot of extra things that happen here. You can then use AI to then empower you to create those personalized approaches for every single person that's visiting your site, to where that just hasn't been possible before. Like we can do small things, like we can credit kind of, if you have like the cookie snippet, we can like customize their name on the homepage and so like stuff like that. But it's not as effective as actually understanding the individual user that's going to your site.
No, and I think what you're talking about there is exciting, Jeff, because as a marketer, at least, I've been in this business way too long. It's where I've earned all this white hair. But it amazes me that I actually think one of the things, and one of the questions I'm going to ask next is kind of for your crystal ball and where you see things going. One of the things I believe we're going to see a lot more of in 2025, which is obviously just around the corner, is we're going to see a lot more mass personalization where we have the ability to use AI. And instead of just segmenting that email list and going, okay, Jonathan's 55 and he's interested in this, so he's going to fit in this bucket, and we're going to have 4 buckets that we use. Now we're going to have 4,000 buckets, because I can look at Jonathan and, okay, not only is Jonathan 55 and is he interested in this, but he's got a white beard, he's got 2 grandkids, he's got one son in high school, and every time we publish something on AI, he clicks on it. Unless we publish about fear mongering and then he doesn't, he posts a negative comment. We're going to be able to pull all of that together to go, all right, so now in order to write this message literally on the fly, you'll be able to create email messages, social posts, all kinds of things that are designed to resonate just with me, because now you'll have all these touch points. That's one of the big areas I see. How about you guys as we look at 2025? My crystal ball's kind of cloudy and cracked often, but I think that's going to be one of the big things we're going to see for marketing. What are some of the big changes you guys think we're going to see in 2025?
Yeah, I would agree with you actually. I'm seeing it now. Like I'm getting so many we share them every day. Me and Jeff, we sit out in our little common area and share all the personalized emails we've had that day that have been really good or sometimes really bad actually.
Yeah,
But
they go both ways right now. Absolutely, yes.
yeah. But it's definitely happening, and I think that's going to be huge. I think the thing I'd add to that is how that affects advertising campaigns. I think that's going to be the next phase of that, in terms of if you can filter down that personalized on an email, you'll almost be creating ad sets on a almost one to one basis at that point. You'll be creating ad sets that are completely hyper targeted, which means our ads will get better and better and better, which I'm totally fine with because I much prefer seeing an ad about something I care about than something I don't. Um, but hopefully that's going to make a massive difference in the ad world as well, which is something we like to play with too. So yeah, I think that's going to be really interesting to see how marketers kind of adapt to that and keep up with that.
I do. How about yourself, Jeff? What do you see as we go into 2025? Any great predictions that we can do a follow up on halfway through the year and see how we did?
Yeah, I think that we're also going to start seeing the personalization of media as well. And what I mean by that is that we have tools like Suno and these video image generation tools. I think we're going to start seeing that kind of tied together by probably like the end of 2025 to where we start to see shorts that are absolutely like produced specifically for you based off your interest. There's already companies that are doing that. I got invited earlier this year to a company to be a part of their beta where they were trying to produce shows for Netflix using their AI tool. Um, and they didn't let me use it for like actual video content to put on YouTube, unfortunately. So I was like, I don't find that useful. But the next logical progression is just that you have more and more media that you can consume that's tailored for you. It all feeds into that personalization. I think that we'll see that with music even more with Suno. It'll improve, start to understand your taste, and they'll personalize that. Same thing with image generation. We're already seeing this with Midjourney, with where they're actually going through and having you do a test to basically select what kind of aesthetic you like the best, and then it'll tailor that into the image generation for you. So we're seeing that on all fronts, and that's going to be just all encompassing to where anything that you want to consume will be just completely tailored for you.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that that's again one of the things that's exciting. I think it'll be a little bit different as it comes out. It's kind of like reminds me in on a different way. But the first time I realized that Facebook was listening to what I was talking about through my phone and therefore sending me ads, because somebody told me about this a couple of years ago, and I'm like, no, they're not. And then go try it. Think about something you don't ever talk about,
Yeah.
and then have a conversation with your wife about it for 5 minutes or so. It doesn't have to be very long. Maybe talk about, hey, this weekend let's go rent canoes and let's go do this, and then look and see if you get ads from Amazon and everything else for canoes and life preservers. And what do you know? I did, and it was really amazing to see how that happens. I think we're going to see so much more of that because again, we know that companies like Google and everybody else, they have tons of that data that's available, and most of that data is for sale. And before anybody freaks out, it's not being used nefariously. It's just being used to get our money because they want us to spend more money on their stuff. You still can say no, but I think it's really cool. And I'm excited because it's kind of like when I'm going through my Facebook feed and Facebook's like, do you want to see more of this ad? I'll happily tell them the ads that I want to see more of, and I happily tell them the ones that I don't want to see. So when I get ads, I'm like, why are you showing that to me? I have no problem saying no. Or when I see ones that I like, I have no problem saying yes. And all I'm really doing is opting in for more marketing. I know that, but I think it's human nature to go, well, of course, I want to see stuff that's interesting to me. And it's just so exciting to me that we're going to have have those capabilities to take a look at and to pursue. So we call ourselves the 91 Day AI Transformation Podcast because we really believe that as individuals and businesses and organizations look at adopting AI, they should avoid two of the extremes that we see so often. One of those extremes is we're going to do everything and we're going to do it right now. And of course, that never works out well. And the other is, to kind of plug the ears and go, no, 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 it doesn't exist and I'm not going to worry about it. And we don't think that's a good idea either. But we really do think that having a 90-day plan is a really great idea as you're either implementing AI for the first time or as you're expanding your usage. Especially, I think it's important as we start integrating AI with our teams, as we as business leaders are then pushing the technology into our teams so that they can leverage their skills as well. What type of recommendations would you two have for those businesses, those nonprofits that are implementing AI, whether it's for the first time, which is probably unlikely, but more likely where they're taking a look and saying, okay, for 2025, we need a plan. We need to put something in place and we need to push this out to our team because the economies that we can get and the efficiencies that we can generate are truly unbelievable. What recommendations would you have for those businesses? Things they should do between, let's just say, January, February, and March. What type of things should they be focused on? Any thoughts?
I think it's a really hard one, particularly in this ever changing AI landscape right now. I think the main thing I would say is like plan to change.
Yeah.
Put a process in place to evaluate new AI tools as they launch, see when it's the right fit for you, and see if it's going to, you know, actually benefit the business or not. Um, but going in planning to change things rather than setting a long-term plan because it's, ChatGPT might launch GPT-5 in January and everything changes again, and
Everything changes. Exactly.
we
Yeah.
just don't know. So it's having that mindset of change, being prepared for the change, and then making sure the team are in the right place for the change, because obviously not everyone likes change, but making sure they're ready for it, and that you've got a bit of a framework in place to go, actually, is this something that we want to change for, or is this something, a tool that's just, hyperbole, we don't have to worry about this one. It's trying to
Mm.
having that in place so you know what you want to jump on and what you don't, I would say.
I think that's super, super wise. I love that. Jeff, any thoughts you've got about that in general?
Yeah, quite a bit of thoughts actually. So the very first thing, don't try to AIify processes within your company that you haven't mastered yet. I think
Oh,
that's
that's so
important.
good. So good.
Um, and then the next thing is going to be from an auditing perspective. I think that it's important to have a good baseline of where you're going to start. I think the easiest thing to start is, let's bring more money into the company. That is
Mm.
the number one thing that's going to help you like understand AI the best, is like, what are the processes and things that you need to actually bring the money in. And I think that starts out with just what we mentioned earlier: generating traffic, getting leads, and then converting. Focus on those three areas. If you can master traffic, then that's going to be awesome. And then if you can then turn them into leads, that's even better. And the last step, let's turn that into money for you, because that solves so many other problems. That allows
Mm.
you breathing room for you to start looking at processes within your business that are like, we can get like 15% more efficiency by automating our email sequence, our process for creating email sequences. We can save 10% here by creating SOPs that are effective using AI. We can use an AI scheduler to then make sure that we're automating meetings and managing everybody's schedule. All those types of things are great, but if you're not making any money, like, what does it matter? You're basically just optimizing for something that you could just spend that time actually bringing more money into the business. I think that's the very first place that every business should start, is increase the amount of profit that they can bring in. And AI is perfect for doing that. But you need to understand those processes beforehand and then the strategy behind it, which is why it's very important that you start out with people that are leading in those subject matters and start following them. So like yourself, Jonathan Mass, being a part of like your communities and understanding, how you can start to leverage these things and where you should go to for that reliable source of information. That's your starting point, and then look at bringing in traffic, bringing in leads, bringing in conversions.
I love how you focus on quick wins there, and again, focusing on doing things that are going to bring value to the organization, because that'll help everybody come around that as a process. And we know there's people that love AI, there's people that are scared of AI, there's people that are trying to destroy AI. I mean, as with anything, we've got that across the board. But I love how you put that together. I also love how you mentioned there, and I think it's so important, Jeff, that we focus on the leaders in our company that are not necessarily the executives, but those that are best at what they do. I know I fundamentally believe that AI is an amplifier. It amplifies skill, it amplifies
Mhm.
experience. And whether that person has been with you for 20 years or they've been with you for 2 years, if they're great at what they do, get AI in their hands and let them figure out how they can amplify the things they're doing. Because again, AI is a tremendous tool to bring efficiencies and to do that. But I also like how you were talking about, make sure you've got those figured out. It's not a
Mhm.
great idea to try to automate something that you yourself haven't figured out yet, because then you're going to create problems. It's bad enough sometimes when we try to automate the things that we know what we're doing. So yeah, I think that's a really, really good advice for anybody looking at what to do in that. Let me ask you guys, if somebody's interested and they want to know more, what's the best way for them to get in touch with BrandWell, begin following you guys individually? What's the best way for them to connect with you and learn more about what you guys can offer through your company back to them? Any recommendations there?
Yeah, so you can find us at brandwell.ai. There's a live chat on there. My email is just ben@brandwell.ai. Or you can find me anywhere on most social platforms as at Ben Harper 87. If you ever want to reach out to me on any of those, then I'm on all the main places.
Awesome. I love it. Jeff?
Yeah, so you can find me as Jeff Joyce. If you type in AI, usually I'll pop up. I'm a guy with an orange background, just doing 2 thumbs up. That's going to be me. And obviously, BrandWell. If you want to contact me via email, it's jeff@brandwell.ai. Very simple.
Awesome. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming and chatting with us today and sharing some concepts in that. I'm sure we could go on for a significant amount of time longer, but I promised you guys we'd keep it down short, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. Any parting words for anybody that's listening today that you want to leave them before we sign off? Any parting comments?
Check out Traffic ID as you're growing your site. I think that's the message I would give.
I love it.
If you can find out who's on your website for free for 7 days, then why wouldn't you?
I got to agree with you. I'm going to be using it. There's no doubt about it. I love that. I love that. So, well, we want to thank you guys again. Jeff, anything? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good.
It's different when I've got multiple people. I've got to hang on. I got to do this twice. So, awesome. Well, again, I do appreciate your time so much. I'm looking forward to continuing to build a relationship with you guys. And I want to really give you both kudos. So, Ben, you talked about just reach out and you'll follow up. That's exactly what I did. I reached out to both you guys and I got messages back in no time. I really appreciate that you guys are so responsive there and so open to communications and love what I see you guys doing. So thank you again. I want to thank everybody that's listened to. We appreciate listening, watching, whether it's however that is, whatever platform. We would love to ask you, though, if you like these AI discussions, please subscribe to the podcast. Give us a thumbs up. That means a lot to us. And if you've got ideas on things that we could do better, more of, or maybe just change, we'd love to hear from you as well. With that, everybody make it a great day, and we'll see you on the other side. Bye, everybody.